Welcome to the Divine Union series, where we tell our story of how we met and how we continue to meet each other each day. My name is Ekaterina.
And I'm Henrik.
And today we're going to tell you why we believe that our relationship is what we call divine union, twin flame, why we think it's so special. To give you a little bit of an introduction about how we have created for ourselves a beautiful story and collected many pieces of evidence from the time that before we met each other to show that our relationship was destined. Why don't you start off by telling the audience why you feel that our relationship was destined and why it's a divine union relationship?
Well, since the first time we met, I just knew that you were the one for me. I remember the first time we were at a rooftop party, and you were wearing this blue dress, and it caught my attention, and I remember in that evening we exchanged numbers, and when I left from that party and went home, I just had this feeling in my belly that you were the one for me.
Yes, it was at a party 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, to the date of making this video. I actually was invited to 2 parties, and I had a calling that I really had to make it to the second party, and I didn't drink at all. We come from northern cultures, where drinking is normal for parties. But that evening we decided to not drink, and I think we can't do it with the dogs barking.
It's okay with a little bit of barking. I don't think they will interrupt. You don't mind, do you? No. Yeah, and we decided to, each on our own. You decided not to drink that evening.
Yes, we hadn't met at all yet. We didn't know about each other, except for in our wish to meet each other.
Yeah, it just happened that way. And I remember that it was not common for me to go to a party and socialize without having a drink. So not only did I meet Ekaterina for the first time, I was a little bit nervous, but I also hadn't had a drink, which I normally had if I was going out socializing. So, I don't know, did you experience that I was a little bit awkward that evening, more than usual?
I think I liked it. I liked that you were yourself, and I wouldn't say awkward, but more reserved.
Maybe,
and I respected that you were more reserved.
Maybe more humble as well?
Perhaps. I'm not sure about humble, but definitely reserved. And I think it was really important that we both didn't drink that day, because our experience of each other was not influenced in any way by heightened emotions, and we were able to have a connection, which my connection wasn't as strong for you. I was like, oh, he seems all right, but
I think what I just realized now was that we met that evening and we were not having a drink, and the day after we would happen to meet up again, and here we would also not have a drink, and it would just be like, for every day on, then it will just feel more natural to be together. It wasn't like we felt like we had to have a drink, because that's how we met the first time.
It's like in Russia we say there's no ugly women, just not enough vodka. Uh, the next day we could meet and be sure that we both found each other attractive, I guess. Do you have a similar saying in Denmark? Or?
Yes, it's. I think it sounds also as bad.
Yes, and so we met each other that night for a few hours, and you were very shy. You didn't think that I was interested in you, but I was a little bit of a social butterfly, so I was just chatting to everyone. But actually, I was very interested, and I got a friend of mine, a friend of mine's husband, who later became the best man at our wedding, to introduce us. And I remember he told, you said your name was Henrik. But for me, it just seemed a little bit too complicated. Henrik was very unfamiliar. So I just decided to call him Henry. But our friend, he said that it was unacceptable that I had to learn his proper name. So yeah, I started to call you your real name correctly, thanks to our friend. And I came up to him, and being a lady, I felt that he should ask for my number, but also being quite a forceful person, I was going to force him to ask me for my number. So I came up to him and I said, "Bye, I'm leaving now." And he went, "Okay, bye."
Yeah, that's how I felt a little bit awkward and maybe a little bit shy, as you mentioned. But
luckily,
yes, I said, yes, of course you can have my number.
Yeah, and I said to him, "Are you gonna ask for my number?" And he stood up and lit up and was so happy and took my number, and we agreed to meet the next morning at already 11 a.m. Because I had to go home. I had church early in the morning, and I said after church I can drive to town and meet you there.
Yes.
But that's another funny story that happened the next day that we will leave for another episode, because we want to tell you why we feel that we were destined to be together. And so now we're going to go a little bit backwards to our childhoods and what our expectations were for our future, who we felt we would marry, if we felt we would marry, and how it would be. So that was our meeting. Now we go back 30 years.
Yes. How was it 30 years ago? How did you think your future husband would be, or your adult life, how would it be? Did you have a dream or imagining how it would be?
Yes, well, I always felt that I'm definitely not going to be a single or alone. From as soon as I remember, I knew that I had a feeling that I wanted to share my life with somebody.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a best friend. It was I suppose a husband. I mean, back then I didn't think husband, wife, or anything like that. I thought more about the kind of family I would like to have. And I knew it wasn't like the family that I was born into, because my parents were very fiery and passionate and all of this stuff. And I wanted something very calm and beautiful and loving and a lot of experiences. And my parents actually had a couple who were their friends, whose son was a year or two older than me, so we used to hang out quite a lot. And I always felt that I would have preferred to be in their family and really idealized them. But unfortunately, after their son was 18, 19, they did get a divorce, which was very heartbreaking for me. But I got over it. And so I knew that I wanted a family. I wanted a partner who would create a kind of environment that a child would really, really love to live in. Because I was a child, and so I could only see it from my perspective. What kind of environment would I like to live in? And so, yes, it was always, and even into my older years, a dream to have a particular kind of family, which I still hold on to this dream, but I've become a lot more realistic of what it actually takes to maintain this kind of relationship, and how much growth and change and patience and everything else. But it really, really helps if you find the person you actually want to do it with.
Yes, then you are in. Yes, then you want to invest the time, and you can see the goal, and the dreams are ahead, right? Or
I think you could invest the time and do the goals and the dreams with anybody, but it makes it real and authentic if it's with somebody who you actually like. Like you actually like the way they are in majority of things. I mean, not everything is always perfect, but let's say if we met as teenagers, we would have still chosen each other. If we met in our 20s, we still would have chosen each other. I think if we met much earlier, it would have been a different relationship with a lot more struggles and maybe going back and forward.
yes,
Because we wouldn't have been able to value certain things as we do now. But there would have still been a spark. What I'm trying to say is that we didn't settle. How was your childhood experience about what you wanted?
yes. Well, I think I also kind of knew that I would get married one day, but it was a little bit different to yours, because I was enjoying, not that you were not, but I was enjoying my single life, and I did not think too much about when I should get married or who I should get married to. It was more like I knew that one day I would get married, and I would get married to the right person. I remember being at family birthdays, and relatives would ask me, "So, do you have a girlfriend? Have you met someone?" And every time I would say, "No, I haven't. I don't have a girlfriend. I haven't met anyone." And they would also ask, "So, what kind of person are you interested in? What are you looking for?" And I would say, "I'm looking for someone who's very feminine, and I had an idea she should be clever and yeah, be popular and funny." And yes, so I had kind of an idea what I was looking for. But I also knew that once I met the right person, I would just know. I would not. I just knew that once the right person stood in front of me, I would know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it was a little bit the opposite. I knew every time it was the wrong person. And when we met, I didn't know you were the right person, but I didn't have a feeling that you were the wrong person. But I think maybe it's just, it's different. And you managed to stay more or less single until we met, and I've had a number of long-term relationships which were not destined to work out, which I knew they weren't destined to work out. But we had a discussion earlier, actually, when we were thinking about making this video, and realized that our cultural background is very different, and also being a female and a male is very different, and it wasn't natural for me to be single and just sleep around and go to parties and do all of this kind of thing. I wanted to have a family, I wanted to have a committed relationship, and even though deep down I knew it wasn't the right person, I was willing to give it a chance and maybe try and make it the right person. I remember when I actually, what people would call in the New Age community, I think they call it like dark twin flame or fake twin flame, something like that. Anyway, I had like a real obsession over this guy, and you get this sometimes with certain people if you have karmic ties, or maybe they behave in particular toxic ways, they get you hooked. And I remember one time I had a conversation with him, and he actually started being quite nice, and we were about to start a relationship, and I was completely sober, and I just channeled through and I said, but you don't look like the person I'm supposed to be with. And this was at least 12 years before we met. And I remember that I described how you look like.
Oh.
Like much taller and more light, and I don't know, just completely described how you look like. And I think he was pretty offended. And so, yeah, I had this moment of channeling through, knowing who I was supposed to be. So we had this knowledge, and you have a similar experience as well, right? When you were telling your friends about
Yes, I had a similar experience.
Like that was many years before you met me too.
Yes, I had a clear idea about who you would be, maybe not how you would look like, but the kind of experience I would have together with you. I remember it was a little bit, I'd say, how my life is right now. Once I meet the one, it's going to completely change. Like I will not be able, you will not be able to. I would feel like a completely different person once I meet the one, and my life will completely change around. It was just a feeling I had because I knew there was a particular kind of experience that I wanted to have for my married adult life. Yeah.
And you knew that you were going to be abroad and with somebody foreign.
It was, in fact, it was only at a family get together where I think my cousin's wife, she asked me, so what kind of woman are you looking for? And I didn't expect myself to answer this, but I said, I'm looking for this extremely feminine and foreign wife, and to me foreign would just mean like a different culture. I was looking for something a little, exotic to me.
Well, you didn't go that far. I mean, not that exotic.
No,
compared to you. But I guess I'm pretty exotic for a Danish village guy.
Well,
that is a marriage outside the village. You knew. I'm just teasing you.
I would say that we might look the same, but we have our cultural backgrounds. They are very much different.
Yes, but to many people, exotic would be like completely different culture. We both come from like Christian countries. We're both the same color skin. We actually have a guy who plays the saxophone in some of the hotels and sometimes on the streets for busking. And when we asked him to go and play at our wedding, he was like, "Oh, you guys are getting married. I thought you were brother and sister."
Yeah, that's funny. He actually played at our wedding too.
He did play at our wedding. It was really nice. But he was happy to find out that we weren't brother and sister getting married. We tried to explain to him like, no, we're from different countries. We're not even from the same country. I don't know, maybe he still thinks we're brother and sister, just lying. Yes, and also we had a lot of like predictions and spiritual experiences that predicted. Your mom did a palm reading
Yes,
with a lady. She paid for a lady to do it for you.
yes. I met a lady who could read my palm, and she told me that in the future, this was many years ago, I think I must have been 18, 16 years old around that time, and she predicted that I would travel to a country far away, and yeah, and now I'm living in a country far away, 15 years later.
But didn't she say you'd get married then, have some children or something like that?
Yes, she said that I would meet someone and have children, and yeah.
And I also had 3 predictions. So there is a holy man here. He's alive still, thank God. And he said to me that I will move to Cyprus and I will meet my true love here. And back then I went through quite a difficult divorce, and this was many years ago, and I gave up on relationships. I was never going to have a relationship again, so I avoided coming to Cyprus for about 5 years. And then I forgot about his prophecy, and I came here, and then I didn't meet you, and then I remembered about it. And also I met another monk. This was in Kiev, and he, just by chance, it was very hard to meet him. I didn't even know it was the man. It was a blind monk. And I went out of the church to go and drink some holy water. I was like, from a well. I was really thirsty. And then I saw this priest, old monk priest, and there were 2 people trying to speak to him, and I just naturally walked over to him. And he came to me and he started to like touch my spine, and I realized it's because he's blind, maybe. And then something like clicked on my spine and aligned. And then he said to me that you will meet somebody, but you have to understand that it's not about passion, because passion doesn't last. It will go away after some years. If you meet somebody and you have passion, it will go away after some years. It's really important to have friendship. And I already said to you guys that when I was very young, I felt that I didn't want to have this passionate relationship. But in the later years, I started to think that it was really important to have this kind of fiery connection with someone. And he reminded me of my childhood wish, which I'm only realizing now as I'm talking about it. And he explained to me that when I meet the one, don't expect fireworks, that it will grow over time, and this friendship would be really lasting. And it's really great that he channeled this, because Henrik's really boring. and then it is correct. Like, our relationship has really grown closer and closer over the years as we've got to know each other and learn to support each other. And it's different. It's a much more deeper, sustainable love.
I would say that we have a friendship, but I have like childhood friends, and I don't think our relationship is anything like that. Like with the friendship that I have with my friends growing up, it was more like buddies. I don't feel like we have a buddy
like
relationship.
Companionship then?
Yes, a companionship. I would more just say that it is, but it's a different kind of bond.
But it's not all passion and fireworks. It's more like we can spend 3 days together and feel totally fine. We don't get really fed up with each other.
Yes, I remember you said once that being with me would be as good as being by yourself. You really enjoy your own time and being by yourself. And you said when we first met, oh, it's really nice to be with you. It feels like when I'm by myself. Maybe it's because I was so boring.
No, I'm joking. I'm not that boring. I'm joking. So, and then the other experience was when I first started going into the spiritual awakening and all the New Age stuff back in 2011, or when it was a really big deal and we all thought the world was going to end in 2012. I don't know if you remember this. And I became completely obsessed with this whole divine union, twin flame journey. I was crazy about it. And I went and got a reading in central London from this tiny little old man. I seem to have, now I'm realizing that all of my stories are with these really old men, wise old sages. And I've never seen him there again. I've tried to go there to get a reading, it was just went off. And he said to me that when we first meet, that I'm going to have to be really clever and really patient, which I was, which we'll tell you in later episodes, the changes that we had to make in order to meet each other and the changes that we had to make when we met each other. So we will cover all of that. But he really put a seed inside of me, which I back then didn't understand, of how to be mature and approach things in a way that gives positive results. And it's not about manipulating, it's about communicating clearly and having really clear goals for what you want, and the system to have really strong boundaries to achieve those goals. Because you might have goals and want something, but then you don't have clear communication or the right boundaries in order to actually make it happen. So that's what he meant with being, well, that's what I believe he meant with being really clever about it. And he also said to me, like, you're not going to meet somebody if you don't go out to meet people. And so I went to 2 parties that evening.
The evening we met?
The evening we met, so I was really following his advice. But for some reason I thought that we would meet in the park or something. And then for 10 years I used to go to a lot of parks.
You were idealized. You were trying to think like, oh, what would be romantic to think back, and yes, it was the classical rooftop party.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. And so yes, I'm sure there are many other things that we could say that led us to each other. But ultimately, we know that this relationship is special because we continue for the last 5 years to make it really special. I think that even with all the destiny that was involved, if we met each other and one of us was not committed, or one of us was not willing to put in 110% every single day, there would be no divine union. There would be no connection at all. It will not be sustainable, because it doesn't matter how much everything is aligned. You have to use your free will to be committed and to create this higher vibration connection.
Yeah, and make the choice every single day that we choose to be together, right?
Yeah, definitely. We make a choice every single day to be together. And that means a lot of different things, which we're going to talk about. But yes, so there is, I was completely delusional for a very long time before we met, thinking that once I meet the one and everything, that my life's just going to be so much easier, it'll be so much better, I'm going to be so loved. But actually, yes, it did become easy in many things because I was given particular resources to be able to heal and grow in certain ways that I would have not been able to do if I was alone. No way. But at the same time, it became a crazy journey of mirroring each other, showing each other our ugly sides, a ton of forgiveness all the time. But because we were committed and already more mature, thank God we haven't done anything, touch wood, really, really awful to each other. But still, it's like we've been completely stripped of our egos.
Yes, you have to strip yourself from your ego, right? And give space to each other and be willing to support and give your energy to someone else.
And it's almost like everything we felt really, really comfortable and confident in had to disappear. And then we had to rebuild ourselves completely. So this is another reason why we believe that the relationship is very special, because of all of these challenging things that we went through, that we simply haven't found anybody else to go through with. Or I don't know, normally people wouldn't willingly do all of these things. They'd rather have an easy journey.
Yeah. Well, we do not give up easily. We choose to fight, and we choose each other because we believe in this.
Yes. So we hope that you enjoyed the first episode, and we look forward to the weekly updates until we run out of stuff to say. That's it. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening. Bye.